Can Freddy Potts make a breakthrough season for West Ham next season? That's on the tip of the tongue of many West Ham fans, especially on the back of West Ham signing Freddy Potts on a long-term contract until 2029. And that's so be it. That deserves it. He deserves it, absolutely. It's an amazing achievement for a young lad who's got lots and lots and lots of ability. And to be honest with you, I've seen him play several times and I'm quite excited about the prospect of what he could bring. And to be honest, quite a lot of West Ham fans probably thought the breakthrough season for him would have been an opportunity to be this season. And there's this kind of caveat going on where they want players to go out on loan and they want to get regular game time. And of course, that regular game time is key to these young players, because there's no point in just sitting on a bench and warming a seat. And if you're not going to get that kind of regular game time, you need to be playing games. It goes back to an interview we did with Lee Hodges a few years ago, where he was supposed to be one of the best young talents at West Ham at the time. He wasn't given the chance due to an injury. Frank Lampard Jr. came through the ranks and got the opportunity, and Lee Hodges was then warming the bench and he was told, go out on loan and go and get a move. He went and got a move and he made a career for himself out with that opportunity. And we all know that at West Ham and in Premier League, in actual fact, it's not just the Premier League, it's all throughout Europe. It's involving people I know, people I've personally involved in the game, that when you're young, to make the breakthrough through is really tough these days. The level of fitness, the level of sports science, the level of commitment, drive, determination, the challenges you've got from bringing young talent in from abroad, from all over the world, from Africa, America, Asia, you name it, Europe. You're bringing some of the best talent from across the world, and you need to try and develop and become that best player in your academy, especially a homegrown talent as well. And we've seen so many young players come and go and not step up to the plate. However, there is a big however. We've not necessarily had a pathway in the last couple of years. It's been a main topic of conversation amongst West Ham fans, especially on social media, especially on YouTube, where people are agreeing and disagreeing with some previous managers and coaches' mindset in developing and bringing players through. David Moyes is an example. When we had an outbreak of injuries in our defence, and we had Alessi sitting in the midst, but he didn't bring him in, and you'd rather play midfielders in that centre-back position at the time. So players and young players were not given that pathway and that opportunity to break through into the team. Then within David Moyes and the Tim Steidten era, we saw a lot of young players go out on loan. Sometimes they were going to lower level clubs and not really hitting the ground running in those clubs. People then were necessarily saying that, you know, if they can't make it in League One, how are they going to make it in the Premier League? I don't now necessarily always 100% agree with that statement. However, the proof is in the pudding, because none of the players have gone on to be bigger or better than their achievements that they've had at West Ham. Lopetegui comes in and we have a system in place where we put players out and they've gone to higher ranked teams, you know, Portsmouth Championship, Callum Marshall out at Huddersfield, and the rest out at, you know, other players out at Wycombe Wanderers, you name it. And players are starting to step up at that level that they've been asked to go out on loan too. So we're talking here about Freddy Potts. He signed a long-term contract with West Ham, and can he have a breakthrough season, and does he deserve a chance to try and make a breakthrough season? What does a breakthrough season mean? Well, a breakthrough season mean for a player like that doesn't necessarily mean they start every single game. It doesn't mean that they're involved in every single game. And then you may ask and weigh that option up. Is it better for them to go and play 40 games a season or be involved? Well, that's fine if they're not going out on loan, but they have to be involved in some way. And under the new regime that we've got with Kyle McCauley and we've got Graham Potter in place, there looks like there is a better pathway to that first team. Obviously, they have to have a talent. And I don't think West Ham would be signing players up to bring them in to West Ham if they didn't genuinely believe they had a talent. They wouldn't be keeping them or signing them long-term contracts, especially at the age that they are. Freddy Potts is 21 years old, right? And he's just put and signed a long-term contract for the 4 years at the club. It will bring him to 25 before he has to leave the club. So West Ham are making that commitment to keeping him here, which means they believe there is something there in the player. Wycombe Wanderers did not want to get rid of Freddy Potts. Portsmouth do not want to get rid of Freddy Potts, even though Portsmouth are just flirting with relegation, just above the relegation zone, several points ahead of that relegation zone. But what we do know is the managers and the coaches at each of those clubs rate Freddy Potts extremely highly. What we do know is he plays all of the games that he is committed to when he is fit, and he is a standout player. Freddy Potts wants to be at West Ham, and West Ham want Freddy Potts to be there, and I think they see the pathway as the next player coming through. We have space in this squad for a player like Freddy Potts, especially when we come to the summer where we're expecting quite a transition in our midfield, quite a transition of players heading out the door and a transition of players coming back in the door as well. But we are having a missing piece of the jigsaw in that middle of the park. I'm not necessarily saying Freddy Potts is the final piece of the jigsaw, but I think it would be the relevant time now to see him transition into playing a bit more regular, and he will get a run in the team if he does play in the West Ham team next season. Now, this will all depend also on our ambition as a club. What's our ambition? Where do we want to see ourselves move forward? Graham Potter is showing signs of giving some of the younger players a chance. Let's look at Ollie Scars as that example. He puts the commitment into that player. He gives the reins to the player, and the player goes on and takes them. And I think Freddy Potts could be that next player to step up to the ranks at West Ham. I necessarily wouldn't want to see him go out on loan again unless Graham Potter was that confident that he needs one more season in the Championship to be able to come and prove his worth. But I would like to see Freddy Potts be given the opportunity because the pathway's there. I'd like to see his name on the team sheet. And with all due respect to players that are a bit older, you know, we've got Danny Ings, albeit they all play different positions. I would rather see a Freddy Potts take up that position because he is showing what he is currently keen and a key player and what he is capable of doing. So for me, it's crunch time for him. It's not necessarily crunch time, but I'd like to see the start of the transition for Freddy Potts coming into this first team setup, the first team squad. We have room for him, and I think he could make a really good transition into the Premier League for West Ham next season. You let me know your thoughts. Can Freddy Potts have a breakthrough season at West Ham next season? Let me know in the comments. Keep subscribing, hit the thumbs up. Come on, your hands.